Well, for all you YouTube perfectionists out there, this is going to be one of the crappiest, worst videos on YouTube. So I beat you to the punch on that. But for people who have gotten the early Ryobi lawn tractors, it's a piece of information that maybe relieve their headache. The one I got is as you can see, the RM300E. It's a 30-inch tractor, and right now it's set up for I've been doing leaves. But the problem with it is there's no battery management system. You can see it's partly apart right now. You can see all the electronics, and you see there I had a Hall cell current measuring instrument so I could see what the current draw was on it. And the other thing I did, which I can't recommend at all, is there's no, as I said, no real battery management. So what I did was I hooked up a charge port to each and every battery, because otherwise there's just 4 batteries in series, and if one of them goes bad, you can imagine what happens. They do have a midpoint tap, but it doesn't really do anything. And so after buying a second set of batteries and having well over $1,000 in batteries, which is a lot of gas, I decided that I would try something new. So I'm going to replace the 20 kilo AGM lead acid battery with the btrPower battery. I got a sort of a big one. It's only 9 kilos. But I didn't want to put BTR. It works hard at making their people who buy their products happy, and this will do. It has a steady current maximum of 50 amps and a peak of 80 amps for 5 seconds, which should more than do, which you'll see later in the current measurements. Okay, here we go. Just looking at the current at various levels. And now I'm going to turn on the chopper grass remover. Now just running the motor on the level. Full throttle. And back to full throttle. And that's about it. All right, there you go. Now we're going to try the bottom again. Going down that driveway and the beach slope. Sorry about the jiggle. Full throttle going up the hill. So, as you can see, I've had earlier already taken the lawnmower somewhat apart. And I removed, you can see the thing that holds the batteries down, and the battery covers have been removed. And just as a suggestion, if you do this, take pictures as you go along. And believe me, you won't regret it. Anyhow, so you can see there's just 4 of these 20 kilogram batteries, and they're all hooked in series with this one wire coming out here, which is sort of their battery management system, but doesn't work very well, which is why people complain about having to buy batteries, probably in part. This is the side that goes to the batteries, and this is a connector that sends the juice into the lawnmower. This is the charging port that comes in from the back and charges the batteries with their charger. So that's about it. There's various pieces that are bolted to that frame there. Now, a big caveat, I can't recommend doing this because this lawnmower already likes to roll. With this setup, and these batteries are pretty close to the axis of the rear axle, when I'm going up my 7-degree driveway, if I accelerate fast and I have leaf bags with a bunch of a little bit damp leaves in the back, it'll pop a wheelie, which makes me nervous. And so all these batteries, which are pretty low, if you get much of an angle, they're going to be above the tip point. But the thing is, I plan to, and I may have to eat my words, to remove the back batteries and put the new cell there and leave these batteries here as ballast to give it the proper kind of weight. But if you do this, you're replacing 80 kilograms and you take all these out with a 9 kilogram battery. And you do so at your own risk. It makes the lawnmower quite unstable. Okay, a few pointers. Before I start, I want to remind you, lithium batteries are far more dangerous if you short them accidentally than AGM lead acid batteries. So, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're not sure, or if you're not, and 48 volts can be dangerous. So make sure you have somebody help you or assign somebody to do this if you're not sure. It's risky business. But I want to point out some things. This is the line for the batteries, and they're just in series and they don't connect to the frame or anything else. So what you'll see later is that I'm just going to disconnect all these batteries, and these batteries will be removed, and the LiFePo battery will be put back here. These will be ballast in later. But there are some interlocks you have to work about, and this particular one here, this is mounted on the frame that holds the batteries down, has to be connected to the high voltage line in order for the battery to the switch to turn on or the motors to run. So this other one is the chair switch. So if you get out of the seat, the tractor shuts off the blades, mower blades. When you set up the battery, what I've done is I've used blade connectors, but I'm a little suspicious that they may not be adequate for the current, but we'll find out in time. But if they don't, power poles will guaranteed work. And as I mentioned that interlock before, I've crimped these on here, this extra wire, because that's what's necessary to control that interlock that I pointed out just before. And then this comes with btrPower is really good. They supply everything you need, including this connector, which matches the one that comes with the Ryobi tractor. You can see I haven't hooked up the charging things yet. I would encourage you to only use crimpers. If you solder things, solder tends to fatigue. In the aircraft industry, they don't allow solder joints because they fatigue and become disconnected. So there you go. Next video I hope to have show further on in the process. I have hooked up this battery and have hooked up the interlocks so it would run and checked, and it certainly winds up. Okay, when you remove the batteries, this is what you see. Obviously I need to clean it up. But one of the things that's always bothered me is how the cooling fins have so much stuff get on them. And there's no way to clean it, of course, when the tractor's together. One note in passing, by the way, when this little corner nubbin screws into plastic, and it will almost certainly break off. It's not really necessary, so not to worry about it. Why they have this thing that looks like a fuse holder, which I mentioned earlier, which is to make sure you don't drive off when the charger is plugged in. Why this fuse holder like thing is, it's not a fuse holder. So I'm going to cut this wire and butt connect it to the wire I added on the battery. Also, there's a fuse in the present hookup that's originally on the tractor. I am not going to add one because the BMS has a short current limit anyhow, and I'm just going to believe that it'll work. Okay, so where we are now is ready to start trying to put things together. I made a hackneyed sheet for the replacing the charging port with the one that came. I'm really unhappy with this charging port because that is the standard configuration for appliances, TV sets, test instruments, and I'm worried some yo-yo somewhere would plug one end into here of that usual power cords and the other end into 110 volts, which would probably lead at least to some nasty fires, if not an explosion. I plan to label this very carefully. But moving on over to the tractor, you can see I have a battery box. Now I'm going to use the original frame battery hold down, which is convenient. If you're not going to do that, you'll need to figure out something else. But I'm going to put the lead acid batteries in here just for ballast, because that makes me feel safer. The battery, the lithium battery weighs 9 kilograms, and the lead acid each weigh 20 kilograms. So this will weigh about 25 pounds less, 12 kilos less. But that's a good stopping point. One other caveat is that this little power meter over here, the LiFePo batteries are a little bit higher voltage, so it's going to show that things are fully charged. And the other issue is that the LiFePo batteries have a very different discharge characteristics. The lead acid batteries sort of taper down, which makes this meter work. The lithium batteries tend to keep the same output voltage until they're exhausted, and then they die off pretty quickly. So this meter is probably going to become pretty useless because the tractor is probably going to stop about the same time as the battery that comes on. So before I actually do all the work of finishing and making the rest of the frames and everything, I'm going to take this for an inaugural run. But as you can see, it wakes up. I got the seat hooked up, and this is that funny little connector you need to fix. All right, we're going to see if this works. Here we go.
Where are you going?
Stay right there. Okay, well here we are with the wrap-up. Most of what needs to be done still is cosmetic. Got the batteries mounted. well and everything is secure. The shielding work obviously could be put back on. But just so you know, I went and bagged leaves on about a half acre of actual lawn, and that involved going up and down an embankment to dump the leaves on our compost pile. And I saw no signs of tiredness. Of course, again, the little indicator on the tractor had meant for lead acid AGMs, not for LiFePo, so it probably doesn't really tell me that much. I should measure the voltage, but I did not. In conclusion, I want to say, if you look at the ratings on these btrPower batteries, about 7% of them have various degrees of unhappiness, from the batteries apparently exploding to them dying in months. What one doesn't know is what percentage of those failures or whatever are due to operator error, or just making bad mistakes with them, and how many of those things were due to manufacturing problems. I will, of course, eventually find out, because I plan to keep this going like this for as long as it lasts. I will say that one thing that is true is that these batteries are not in a hard case, and if that's an issue to you, you should be aware of it. Anyhow, if you decide to take this not entirely simple and perhaps even dangerous project on, I wish you every luck.